A special thanks to all our subscribers. Thank you for being part of our journey. If you are yet to subscribe, please click the subscribe button and press the bell to be notified when the next episode is uploaded. This episode will revisit the debate between AP and MENJ titled, "Is Islam Dangerous to the World?" In this episode, you will see that if you allow defenders of Islam to speak long enough, they will conclude that Allah is a pagan god. During the debate with AP, the Muslim apologist, also known as MENJ, tried to show that apostasy laws can also be found in the Bible. To prove this, he read from Deuteronomy chapter 13. Please MENJ, over to you.
Well, you should stop being a hypocrite, you see, because in the Bible, if you read Deuteronomy 13, Deuteronomy 13, yeah. I'm going to read out a passage to you, so please keep quiet for a moment, all right?
Sure, yeah, okay.
If a prophet or one who foretells by dreams appears among you and announces a sign of wonder, and if the sign of wonders spoken of takes place, the prophet says, "Let us follow other gods." You must not listen to the words of that prophet or dreamer. The Lord your God is testing you to find out whether you love him with all your heart and with all your soul. It's the Lord your God you must follow, and him you must revere. Keep his commandments and obey him, serve him, and hold fast to him. The prophet or dreamer must be put to death for inciting rebellion against the Lord your God. Okay? That prophet or dreamer tried to turn you away from the way the Lord your God commanded you to follow. If your very own brother or your son or your daughter or the wife you love secretly entices you, let us go and worship other gods. Do not yield to them, do not listen to them, show them no pity, do not spare them or shield them. You must certainly put them to death. See, the apostasy law is in the Bible. I don't see you complaining about it. I don't see you saying, "Oh, you Jews and Christians, you're killing apostates. Your law is telling people to kill apostates." Why are you not denouncing it? Why are you focusing on Islam only?
First, I am not sure why he is quoting the Bible to AP, an atheist. But I'm pretty sure that AP would criticize Christianity and Judaism if they went around killing apostates. But most importantly, did MENJ just quote a Bible passage under which Muhammad would be executed for leading people to worship other gods? Muhammad admittedly received satanic verses to pray to Allah through Allat, Al-Uzza and Manat. Based on the passage MENJ read, Muhammad will get the death penalty for that under Jewish law. But how about Muhammad speaking in the name of Allah, a God that is foreign to the Jews, but claimed to be speaking in the name of the God of Abraham? He would have received the death penalty much earlier in his career. Let's see how MENJ defends this.
I find it very funny that you actually quoted a Bible passage under which Muhammad would be executed because he was a false prophet who claimed to preach in the name of God.
No, he's not.
According to the Jewish law, Muhammad would be executed. And
no.
I mean, that's what the logic entails. But
he says here.
Coming to your assertion of hypocrisy, can you show me an example of people today killing false prophets and people rejoicing over it? Go ahead.
Aidemir, you made a false statement about the prophet, so I'm going to deal with that first, all right? So you said that, according to Jewish law, the Prophet ﷺ is going to be killed, right? But the answer is no. He did not tell people to worship false gods. He tells people to worship the one true God of Abraham.
As highlighted earlier, Muhammad admittedly received revelation from Satan asking people to worship Allah through pagan goddesses. So I am not sure what MENJ is talking about here when he claimed Muhammad never asked people to worship other gods. Is he not aware of this, or is he just doing his own form of taqiyya?
If you evaluate Islam by biblical standards, you could quickly come to the conclusion that Muhammad clearly speaks in the name of, claims to speak in the name of God, but doesn't even know the biblical God's name, doesn't do anything the biblical God does, has no witnesses for his prophethood, completely bends the law as he wills, abolishes all kinds of Jewish laws, says the Sabbath was only a punishment for the Jews from God because they were too dumb or too evil or whatever it is, or too disobedient. I mean, this is, under these standards, he would be executed. I'm merely bringing this up because you are bringing up this passage. But here is the issue. You are supposed to show me that this actually applies today and that people actually go around killing false prophets or apostates. Does it happen? No, it doesn't. When did it last happen? Can you tell me?
Well, if it doesn't happen or happen, that's up to the Jews and Christians to decide. You say you are living in a society which claims to follow Judeo-Christian traditions, but they don't follow Judeo-Christian traditions, okay? I mean,
Yeah,
that's
we
what
live in
they
we live in
claim,
a
right?
secular society.
Or not.
That's different.
Yeah, exactly. So, of course, you're not going to see Jews and Christians applying their own laws. They're not following their own religion.
Here, he made a bold claim that Christians and Jews don't apply their laws and that they are not following their religion. One can only wonder how much these guys hate life. We live in a society where people go about with death threats to unbelievers and apostates, and even execute their threats where possible. But instead of condemning it, Muslims are asking Jews and Christians to join them in killing apostates. It's easy to see why Jews and Christians don't go about killing apostates if you read the scriptures of the Jews and Christians. Several times in the Bible, we found that the kings of Israel and other Israelites went after other gods and sometimes even led the entire nation into idolatry. But God on every occasion always dealt with them himself. When the state is to execute the laws, they did, and when God is to execute the law and punish the entire nation, God did. Christians don't go about killing apostates. In Christianity, you simply show the apostates the back door to leave the church. If they entice you to be with other gods, then they should go and join those other gods alone and not do it in your church, so that accusation is baseless. But that is not the key issue here. The main topic is, does Muhammad know the God of the Jews and Christians?
You're saying that, the prophet doesn't know the name of the one true God. Okay, I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, we have 99 names in the, in the Quran for God. So
Is that the topic?
tell me what, okay? It's not a topic, but I need to refute you. Okay, so you keep saying, I know about your videos, okay? You keep saying that Yahweh is the name of God, okay? But it's not. It's a pagan entity, okay? And of course, we Muslims will not recognize this entity.
Can you repeat that? Can you say that Jehovah is actually a pagan entity's name?
Yes, and this is the pagan God right here, right?
Okay.
So this, if you can look at, okay? So why would I want to worship this being?
Okay.
I don't believe in this being as God.
Okay.
So back in 2004, 2005, I was confronted with this issue. A Christian guy actually asked me or tried to challenge Islam by accusing Islam of saying that Yahweh is the name of the one true God, the divine name, and therefore Muslims are not on the true path because Muslims do not know this Yahweh. And I refuted him. Okay, so what you're presenting here is nothing new.
As always, when defenders of Islam speak, they don't think critically of the implications of what they say. Jews and Christians generally believe that the name of God is Yahweh or Jehovah. The Muslim apologist believes that Yahweh is a pagan god. But he claims Allah is the same God as the Jews and Christians. What does that imply? It simply implies that the Muslim apologist believes that Allah is a pagan god. How? You might ask. Christians and Jews don't believe that their God is a pagan god. It's only some Muslims who claim that the Christians and Jews believe in a pagan god. However, after coming to that conclusion, they still want to assert that Allah is the same God as the God of the Jews and Christians whom they already believe to be a pagan god. How can they not see the issue? The issue is they are forced to believe this since the Quran in chapter 29 verse 46 teaches them to say, "We believe in what was revealed to us and in what was revealed to you. Our God and your God is one, and we are submissive to him." If they are submissive to the God of the Jews and Christians, Yahweh or Jehovah, whom they claim to be a pagan god, then they just confirm that they believe that Allah is a pagan god.
I want to ask you a simple question here. The prophet Elias, what is the prophet Elias's actual name?
Yeah, it's not Ezekiel, that's for sure. Okay.
But what is his Hebrew name?
Okay. I think it's Eliyahu, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Eliyahu. What does Eliyahu mean?
I don't care because the Quran corrected that mistake by calling him Ilyas, and Il is from Ilah. Okay,
that is incredibly
it's from an older.
stupid.
It's from. I think you are the stupid one. Okay, because you don't know.
I didn't say you are stupid. I said that is.
I
have
this book here. I have this book here.
Okay, will you let me speak about this? Look, Elias is not a correction made by the Quran. Elias is an adoption from Greek, which is the Hellenized version of the name Eliyahu. In Greek, it is Elias or Elias, which Arabic-speaking people adopted, which is why it came into Islam as Elias. The guy's name in Hebrew is Eliyahu. Do you know what Eliyahu means? Eliyahu means my God is Yahweh. Yahu is
no, it doesn't.
Yahu repeatedly refers to the God Yahweh throughout the Bible, throughout Hebrew tradition. Another name, Isa, which Islam distorts as well, is Yehoshua, also is about Yahweh. Another Yahya is also about Yahweh. Zechariah is also about Yahweh. And the Quran even says that Allah gave the names of Yahya and of Isa to them and promised those names. So Allah, your true God, allegedly, gave people names which praise the false God Yahweh, as you claim. That is the dumbest thing that I have ever heard. You have to accept, if you want to accept these figures and these names as true, that your God's name, at least known to them, was Yahweh. If you want to openly assert that Yahweh is a pagan name of a pagan entity, then you are directly denying and refuting your own religion without even understanding it and knowing it.
I think the case has been made. Allah claims to give names such as Isa, Yahya, and Zechariah to those people. But these names are names that simply praise Yahweh. It further buttresses the point that the Muslim apologist believes that Allah must be a pagan god for giving special names praising pagan gods to those people instead of giving names that praise Allah himself.
It's the most ignorant and stupid thing I ever heard in my life.
Yeah,
okay,
good,
because because I bought this book here. Okay, I have several books on the subject. Right.
Yeah, I know you have a lot of books. There's nothing to say.
Since you want to talk about the issue of Yahweh, I'm going to give me a chance to actually read a passage of this from this. All right. So basically, no one knows how Yahweh is pronounced. Okay, it's Yod, Het, Vav, and Het. Right. Nobody knows the pronunciation of this tetragrammaton. Okay, and to say that it's Yahweh is wrong. The pronunciation is incorrect. Okay, I mean some scholars actually say that it could be Yahu or Yahuwah. Okay, now basically you don't have the right pronunciation of your so-called God by the name of Yahweh.
And how is it relevant to the discussion that we are having right now?
It's not, but since you want to talk about it, I'm going to
Fantastic,
talk about
yeah,
it, right?
it's not relevant to what I said at all right now. What I'm saying is that your Quran, your God himself, claims to have sent people and have given them names which praise Yahweh. But you're telling me right now that Yahweh is actually a pagan entity's name.
So basically, okay, this word Yahweh, nobody knows its pronunciation. Nobody knows how it's pronounced. And of course,
very nice changes of topics. And it has nothing to do with the issue.
The Quran is going to avoid this. Sorry, please let me speak, all right? So basically, the name Yahweh is a pagan god which existed in Canaanite times, okay? And of course, Islam is going to avoid using this name because this name is an idol, okay? And therefore, it's a pagan god, okay? So the so-called claims that you made about the prophets allegedly using the name Yahweh, we don't know how it's pronounced, okay? We don't know how it's pronounced.
Jews did not care about how it is pronounced. What they cared about is to preserve the letters, which is why it is known as
until today,
Stop. Or Yahu is a short form which praises the God Yahweh and has been known so forever. It is impossible. It is impossible that such a change happened. It is throughout Hebrew tradition and throughout the Hebrew Bible, it repeatedly refers to Yah or Yahu. Yahu is the name of the Hebrew God, of the biblical God. And your Islamic scripture contains names like Jesus, Yahya, John, or Elijah or Zechariah.
Now, I think he is beginning to understand the problem, so he is seeking to disavow the pronunciation of the Tetragrammaton, Yod He Vav He. But that raises other key problems for Islam. Let's consider 3 of these issues. First, since Muslims believe that Muhammad was sent to restore the religion of Abraham and call people back to the pure, undiluted worship of the true God, then surely he would have been able to restore the proper enunciation of the sacred name. After all, if God took the time to send someone to restore his true religion, then he could also have restored the correct way of saying the name which he wanted all believers to know him by. According to the Bible, in Exodus 3:15, Yahweh is the covenant name of God for all generations. Second, this ignores the fact that the 4 letters which make up the sacred name are still preserved by God in the Hebrew scriptures. In light of this, Muhammad could have easily included the sacred name into the consonantal text of the Quran by simply using the Arabic letters which correspond to the Hebrew tetragrammaton, namely Yahweh. In fact, this is how the sacred name appears in the Arabic translations of the Hebrew Bible. Another reason why we would expect Muhammad to have employed the tetragrammaton is that Muslims seek to convince Jews and Christians that he was the prophet like Moses that was prophesied to come in Deuteronomy chapter 18 verses 15 to 19. Surely, the prophet like Moses would have known and made use of the tetragrammaton, just like Moses did. The reality is that Muhammad did not know the name because he wasn't a true prophet, and therefore did not know the true God who had spoken to the patriarchs and who had commissioned prophets like Moses. This is brought out by the fact that not only was Muhammad ignorant of the sacred name, But he also contradicted the very theology of Moses as recorded within the Torah, or Pentateuch.
So this false god, Yahweh, is a pagan god that existed, way before the Mosaic religion, and it came from, Nubia, and scholars, don't even know how Yahweh is pronounced, and frankly, I don't have any problems also with the Tetragrammaton, but it's just that you seem to think that it's pronounced as Yahweh, which is wrong. And the Jews themselves, they don't even know how it's pronounced, and they replace it with Adonai. And Jews accept that Muslims worship the same God. So I don't know what the issue is. So the Jews themselves don't have any problems with Muslims. It is only Christians, evangelical Christians, in the extremism, in the likes of David Wood, who like to claim that this mysterious God called Yahweh is a divine name, and only Christians recognize this. No, I'm sorry, because Jews don't have any problems with Muslims calling upon God as Allah.
This is the point where Muslims think Christians are their enemies. But that is not the case. Christians are only pointing Muslims to the obvious. If Yahweh is a pagan god and Muslims believe in the same God as Jews and Christians, then it's only obvious that Muslims are agreeing to serve a pagan god. So it is either the Muslims don't serve the same God as the Jews and Christians, in which case the Quran is wrong, or they do, in which case they have to agree they are serving a pagan god. Else they should just throw the argument in the bin where it belongs, because neither Jews nor Christians believe that our God is a pagan god. How about the issue with Muslims calling on the same God as Allah? I think Muslims miss the point, and I will briefly explain it here. If the use of the word Allah is treated as a generic noun, a common noun denoting any deity, then it is acceptable as a reference for the true God of the Holy Bible. However, Islamic theology does not treat Allah as a generic noun but views it as their God's own personal name. In Muslim thinking, Allah functions as the proper name of the deity, much like the name Peter or John. This is where the problem lies, since, according to the Holy Bible, the one noun which functions as the true God's proper name is Yahweh, not Allah. The fact that Muslims view the name Allah as a proper noun, as opposed to a common noun descriptive applicable to any deity, and that the Quran nowhere uses the name Yahweh in connection to God, is sufficient evidence to show that we are not dealing with the same God revealed in the Holy Bible. In simple terms, if Allah is used in a generic form, then you can translate it to mean God in English. Then we can ask which God, Yahweh, Zeus, Apollo, Artemis, or the moon god. But if Allah is used as a proper noun, then it will be translated as the God. Note that Arabic-speaking Christians use the name Allah as a generic noun. Dear Muslim friends, if your imams and apologists continue to lie to you about the Quran and the Bible, what else are they lying to you about? If you choose the God of the Jews and Christian, you must read the scriptures of the Jews and Christians to know their God. Thank you for joining us this far. Consider subscribing to the channel and be part of our journey as we expose the lies. Press the notification button to be notified when the next episode is uploaded. Finally, don't forget to like and share with other Muslims.